The Female and Male Gender Translation by Bianca Recht. Carlos Hernandez and Vibke Walder. Figu Landesgruppe Australia. Extract from the books Something Meaningful, Dignified, Valuable. Pages 276 to 278. The female and male genders differ not only physically, but also on an intellectual, feeling-based, and emotional level. Therefore, also their kinds of thoughts, feelings, and actions are as diverse as are their kinds of personality and character. Thus, in this regard, there exist no essential equalities, even though erroneously this is seen and evaluated differently. The nature of the woman compared to the nature of the man is as different as sweet and sour as day and night. Seen purely physically, the female gender, compared to the male, is not as muscular and powerful. Consequently, the woman cannot do physically heavy work in the same manner as the man. In relation to the world of thoughts and feelings, and the wealth of ideas and the care as well as the sympathy, etc., the woman is not inferior to the man. It is quite the contrary. Particularly in these matters, a great superiority exists, to which the male gender does not come close. Thus, in relation to duties and things, which demand a clear and agile consciousness, the woman is much more efficient and prudent. Though this does not mean that the man in relation to a thorough reflection would be inferior to the woman, because in this respect, as a rule, an equality exists, however, concerning the more humane and feeling-based consideration of things, the man falls behind. Where the man is less intuitive and sensitive, exactly the opposite exists with the woman, which also leads to the fact that a much more profound sensitivity is inherent in her, by which she also shows much more sensitive and more compassionate qualities. This affects the interpersonal relationships, the humaneness, and being human in the real and true sense, as well as the nature and the whole world of the plants and animals. A fact which unfortunately is less marked in the man, because he lives more for his uncontrolled aggressiveness, rather than for the things of sensibility, sensitivity, the feeling of sympathy, and so forth. Thus, there are quite fundamental differences between the female and male gender, which, however, does not justify any discrimination of one or the other gender. Both genders have the same rights, which must be mutually respected and must never lead to cause any unright in their treatment. Man and woman are in every respect of equal value. Consequently, they also must be equally remunerated in regard to the same work. Differences shall only be made in the case of role reversal, namely in regards to the tasks being appropriately aligned with the physical powers and skills. Where the rights of the female and male gender are being ignored and treated with contempt, women and men must insist on their rights and must fight for them with all permissible logical means, whereby also one gender shall support the other in their efforts. Therefore, both genders shall have equal rights and equal responsibilities, so differences and distinctions shall only be present where their cause is purely physical or in accord with their abilities. This refers to all areas of life, work and occupations of any kind, research and development, however, also to instruction in all fields of knowledge, to the education of the offspring, and to the exercising of an office in the area of security, monitoring, regulation, and government, and so forth. Thus, both genders must also be enabled to study anything at any time, just as each gender must be able to take any position in society. Man and woman must complement each other at all times in the duties of life. Consequently, they are connected inseparably with each other and need each other. One gender cannot exist without the other, because only together, and in their difference, do they form the true potential of human existence. Each one in itself forming a pole of a 100% unity. They are, in their union, a complete 100% unit, exactly like both poles of electrical energy, which are in themselves a 100% unity in the negative and positive, and are able to generate light only in togetherness, and thus form a full unit. In its fundamental essence, in the spirit, that is to say, in the spirit form, the female and the male gender, in their Wesen and in their energy, are completely equal. A difference exists only with the purely physical body and in the area of the world of thoughts and feelings. as well as the structure of the personality and the character, the sensitivity and fine sensitivity. Nevertheless, a separation between the genders is only carried out by the human being. After all, it never happened in relation to the natural differences between man and woman, but purely for might-wielding, dominating, and social reasons. The female gender is not at all inferior to the male, neither is the male to the female. Inferiorities, oppression, and undervaluation of the genders are created solely by the human being himself or herself. However, this happens through an irrational and false assessment of the genders, of their nature, abilities, and skills, which, as a rule, are assessed incorrectly, evaluated absolutely wrongly, and misunderstood by both genders. Truly, irrespective of all differences, no gender is inferior or superior to the other, because both correspond to the optimal level according to their kind, and hence also act in the best possible manner, naturally always provided they do their best for it. Therefore, the physical and other differences between man and woman are not of significance to the human being, because the human being as such is the most important element which plays a role, and this does not justify any contempt or any offense against a creation of the creation. Billy, the 31st of December 2003, 19, 58H, Sim Yase, Silver Star Center, Hinterschmidruti.